Take a slow, comfortable breath and let yourself settle into a gentle state of ease. Tonight, we're wandering far back into a world that was both familiar and deeply foreign. A world of dim hearthlight, cool stone floors, and the steady rhythm of days shaped by the seasons. As we explore the past, allow the stories to unfold softly, like pages turning in a quiet room. Nothing here asks anything of you. You're simply drifting, listening, and imagining. In this episode of Boring History for Sleep, we'll be exploring a curious and often overlooked part of medieval life: the foods people ate, the flavors they loved, and the ingredients that, by today's standards, would be considered risky, dangerous, or even deadly. Yet for the people of that time, these foods were ordinary, comforting even. Their world was governed by tradition, custom, necessity, and a very different understanding of what was wholesome or safe. As you relax, you'll step into a medieval kitchen and experience the textures, sounds, and smells of daily meals. Then, later in the night, we'll drift into the life of a historical figure whose choices shaped a kingdom. We'll follow clues buried under centuries of soil and explore a mystery tied to ancient diets. And finally, we'll quietly visit the dining halls of those fortunate enough to experience the luxuries of the elite. For now, let your mind soften. Let the modern world fall away, and imagine yourself stepping back, slowly, gently, into a medieval morning. Welcome again, and as you settle deeper into your chair or bed, imagine yourself stepping gently back through the centuries. The sun is low over a medieval village, its rays soft and golden, brushing across thatched rooftops and winding streets. You can feel the rhythm of life here, steady, measured, patterned by seasons, work, and necessity. Imagine yourself in a small wooden cottage, its walls thick with smoke stains and the scent of damp timber, the hearth at the center of the room casting warmth that spreads slowly into the corners. Life in this village is simple, yet never easy. Your day begins with the sound of a rooster crowing somewhere near the barns. The cold of morning seeps through the floorboards, chilling your feet despite the straw matting. You rise, wrap a coarse woolen cloak around your shoulders, and move toward the hearth. The fire, smoldering from the night, is coaxed back into flame. The smell of last night's stew mingles with the smoke, a scent both familiar and necessary for the comfort it brings. As you sit at the rough wooden table, consider the unseen risks of every meal. Some grains, if stored poorly, carry fungi that can cause illness. Meat, even if salted or smoked, can harbor bacteria if left too long. Herbs, gathered from nearby fields, might be medicinal or mildly toxic. Imagine yourself holding a piece of smoked fish. The aroma is strong, almost briny, and the texture firm yet pliable. You bite cautiously, savoring the flavor and trusting in your own senses to detect spoilage. A wrong choice could lead to discomfort, fever, or worse. Yet this risk is part of life. It is accepted, almost normal, because knowledge and experience guide daily decisions. Fruits and vegetables are seasonal and often preserved in rudimentary ways, dried, pickled, or fermented. Cabbages are boiled or stewed, apples dried or stored in cool cellars. Honey is precious, not just for taste, but as a preservative, a medicine, and a sweetener in a world where sugar is nearly unknown. Every bite carries a story of trade, harvest, preparation, and survival. Life follows a rhythm: breakfast, midday meal, and dinner, each modest, each shaped by necessity. Breakfast, a thin porridge, perhaps with a few dried fruits or honey. The fire crackles softly as you eat, the steam rising slowly, warming the cool morning air. Outside, children play near the well, the dogs padding along the dirt roads. The village stirs gradually, a soft murmur of life. Midday meal, often leftovers or a simple broth with bread. The aroma is earthy, the flavor modest but sustaining. It is eaten quickly, so work can resume, tending fields, repairing tools, or assisting in craft work. Dinner, the heartiest meal, prepared over several hours. Imagine a small stew, meat or legumes simmering with root vegetables. The scent of onions and herbs fills the air, mingling with smoke from the hearth. Even here, caution is needed. Too much time over the fire can spoil the texture. Undercooked meat can harbor danger. The villagers are skilled in recognizing the subtle signs of spoilage, using senses honed over years. Color, smell, texture, all communicate safety or warning. Imagine yourself learning these cues, carefully noting the hints hidden in every ingredient. Imagine waking gently to the soft light of dawn spilling through the narrow cracks in the wooden shutters of a modest medieval home. The air is cool and carries a blend of scents. The faint tang of smoke from last night's hearth, the earthy aroma of damp soil pressed against the walls, and the subtle warmth from straw mats where families have slept. Your bare feet touch the cold, uneven floor, feeling the textured stones beneath, each carrying the echoes of countless footsteps from previous days. Outside, the village begins to stir. A rooster crows in the distance. Oxen low quietly, and the subtle movement of villagers making their morning rounds creates a gentle symphony of life. You rise from your pallet and stretch, feeling the stiffness of muscles unused during the long night. The first task is simple yet vital, breakfast. But here, unlike modern kitchens, every step carries weight. You gather grains, barley, oats, rye, from a wooden container, their coarse textures gritty against your fingers. Water from the well or stream is poured slowly into a blackened pot, and you begin the labor of cooking the day's first meal. The grains swell and soften over a low flame, releasing their subtle nutty aromas, mingling with the faint smoke still lingering from the hearth. Occasionally, a few dried berries or a small drizzle of honey are added, luxuries that punctuate the monotony of daily meals, each addition a tiny treasured relief. Breakfast is quiet. The porridge is coarse, yet nourishing, filling the stomach and grounding the mind in the rhythm of life. Every bite is deliberate, and every sip reminds you of the delicate balance between survival and scarcity. You notice the textures and smells, the rough grains, the warmth of the pot against your hands, the gentle steam rising and curling toward the ceiling. It is in these early moments of the day that the essence of medieval living becomes palpable, a slow, steady rhythm of preparation, patience, and mindful engagement with the physical world. After breakfast, your day begins in earnest. If you are a farmer, you step into the fields, feeling the cool morning dew soak your shoes and legs. The soil is rich, damp, and uneven beneath your feet, carrying the scent of tilled earth mixed with the faint sharpness of manure applied as fertilizer. You guide the plow with steady hands, muscles straining rhythmically against its wooden frame, watching the freshly turned rows stretch out across the landscape. Each motion is deliberate and practiced, honed over years of labor, forming an unspoken meditation with the land. You notice the breeze against your face, the chirping of birds among the newly sprouted crops, and the occasional rustle of small woodland creatures, tiny companions to your daily toil. If you work in a craft or trade, the sensory environment is different but no less immersive. The workshop is filled with the scent of timber, leather, and smoldering coals, while the faint clink of metal and the scratch of tools provide a measured rhythm to the day. You handle each material with care, the coarse grain of leather beneath your fingertips, the cool solidity of iron tools, the subtle imperfections in wood waiting to be shaped. Apprentices assist quietly, moving bundles or passing implements, adding their small energy to the cadence of the workspace. Every motion, every sound, every aroma reinforces the intimate connection between labor and survival, between the skill of hands and the life it sustains. As midday approaches, the family gathers once more around a simple table of rough-hewn planks. The meal is modest, a thin broth of vegetables, coarse bread, and perhaps a small piece of salted fish or cheese. The aroma of herbs and smoke mixes with the warmth of the fire, creating a comforting atmosphere. Eating is deliberate, almost ceremonial, as each bite requires attention and gratitude. Conversation is soft and measured, the low tones of speech a gentle background to the act of nourishment. The simplicity of the meal is mirrored by its importance. Each morsel sustains both body and mind, offering a quiet reassurance amidst the ongoing labor. Bread is a staple, dense and filling, often mixed with barley or rye. Vegetables are stewed, dried or pickled to last through winter, each method preserving flavor and nutrition in its own careful way. Meat, when available, is rare and treated as a precious commodity, salted or smoked for longevity. Imagine tearing a piece of bread, feeling its coarse texture and subtle warmth, tasting the faint bitterness of whole grains, softened through careful preparation. Each meal is both sustenance and quiet reflection, a measured pause in a life dictated by labor and necessity. Afternoons carry the continuity of work. Fields demand attention, watering, weeding, and tending livestock, or workshops require focus and precision, repairing tools or crafting goods for trade. Every sound, smell, and movement is part of a larger pattern, the low hum of life, the careful monitoring of animals, the rhythmic motions of hands shaping matter into utility. The air carries the earthy scent of soil, mingling with livestock's warmth and the faint smoke drifting from neighboring hearths. Life flows steadily, a continuous loop of attention, care, and repetition. Hidden dangers always accompany the food you eat. Grain can be tainted by fungi or insects. Meat can spoil rapidly without careful preservation. Herbs may be misidentified or contain toxins. Vigilance is constant. Your hands, eyes, and nose become instruments of survival, evaluating each ingredient for subtle signs of danger. The mundane act of cooking transforms into a disciplined practice of observation and precaution. Imagine running your fingers through grain, feeling its weight, noticing any unusual textures, lifting handfuls to your nose to detect the faintest off smell. These small gestures are repeated daily, quietly honing awareness and resilience. Seasonal changes shape both labor and diet. Spring brings tender greens, early herbs, and the first harvests of root vegetables. Summer offers abundance, fresh grains, fruits, and honey, often gathered in careful moderation. Autumn emphasizes preservation, with pickling, drying, and salting ensuring survival through the harsher months. Winter restricts the menu to stored provisions, root vegetables, salted meats, and fermented goods. Imagine the shifts of taste and texture as each season passes, the soft sweetness of early berries, the bitter tang of winter greens, the earthy chew of stored bread, each a reflection of nature's rhythm and humanity's ingenuity. Even in the brief moments of respite, such as village fairs or religious festivals, food is both indulgence and ritual. Spices, rare meats, and sweet treats appear, mingling with music and laughter, creating temporary reprieve from daily toil. The smells are richer, more complex. The textures varied and unfamiliar, offering a gentle contrast to the simple, steady meals of routine days. Yet even then, caution remains. Resources are finite, and every indulgence carries the awareness of scarcity and the effort required to secure it. The medieval day, from the first light of dawn to the soft glow of evening, is intertwined with the preparation, consumption, and appreciation of food. Each meal, each ingredient, and each act of care contributes to a rhythm of life that balances survival with quiet reflection. Imagine the warmth of the hearth on your back, the scent of simmering broth in the air, the soft murmur of family members, and the tactile weight of bread and grains in your hands. Every detail, the sound, the smell, the texture, creates an immersive meditation on endurance, patience, and the intimate connection between human life and the nourishment that sustains it. As afternoon fades toward evening, the subtle shift of light across the village signals the approaching close of the day. Shadows stretch long across the uneven cobblestones, and the warm golden hue of the setting sun bathes the landscape in a soft, calming glow. You notice how the air cools slightly, carrying the mingled scents of hay, smoke, and earth. The rhythm of labor slows, hands weary, but still mindful of the work remaining. Animals are rounded up for the night, livestock low softly, nestling into straw bedding, their gentle breathing creating a steady, soothing undertone to the scene. Meals in the evening are often heartier than breakfast, though simplicity remains. Imagine a thick pottage simmered with root vegetables, herbs, and, if fortunate, a small portion of meat or fish. The steam rises in gentle tendrils, carrying an earthy, comforting aroma that wraps the kitchen in quiet warmth. Perhaps bread is torn slowly, chewed thoughtfully, savoring both its nourishment and its reassuring familiarity. Families gather in soft murmurs, sharing stories or reflecting on the day's labor, the low tones of conversation blending seamlessly with the occasional crackle of embers in the hearth. Evening also brings tasks that are quieter, more deliberate, yet equally essential. You mend tools by the faint glow of candlelight, carefully inspecting each blade, each handle, each seam. Perhaps you repair clothing, stitch by stitch, feeling the rough texture of fabric between your fingers, mindful of the precision and patience required. You notice the play of shadows across the walls, the gentle flicker of flames reflecting in small pools of light. Each action is measured, intentional, and quietly meditative, forming a rhythm that mirrors the ebbing of the day's labor into a softer, gentler pace. Hygiene in medieval life is a subtle, carefully managed process. Though modern standards might seem luxurious, you develop rituals adapted to your environment. Bathing may be infrequent, but when it occurs, it is deliberate. You gather warm water heated over the hearth, using cloths to gently cleanse, perhaps adding herbs like lavender, sage, or rosemary for fragrance. Your hands glide over skin, feeling the warmth of water, the soft textures of herbs, and the subtle roughness of woven cloth. Even this simple act carries both comfort and mindfulness, a tactile meditation that signals the day's quiet transition toward rest. As darkness fully settles, the village becomes hushed. Torches flicker, casting long, undulating shadows along walls and streets. The night is filled with subtle sounds, the occasional hoot of an owl, the distant lowing of cows, the whisper of wind through trees. You reflect on the meals consumed, the work accomplished, the moments of care taken for both sustenance and survival. The air is now thick with the sense of hearth smoke, damp earth, and sleeping animals, all blending into a gentle, grounding olfactory backdrop. Imagine yourself sitting by the hearth one last time, sipping a weak, warming ale or a simple herbal infusion. The steam curls upward, mingling with the faint scent of burning wood, and the warmth seeps into your fingers. You think of the grains you measured, the porridge you stirred, the vegetables carefully tended and cooked. You consider the careful observation required to ensure your food is safe, the rituals of preparation, the steady rhythm that links each day to the last. It is a life defined by slow, purposeful attention, and a constant, understated mindfulness of the fragility and resilience of human existence. Even leisure is quiet and measured. Perhaps a simple board game is set on the table, its pieces worn smooth from years of touch, or a child tells a story, their voice soft and melodic, drifting over the background of evening sounds. Music, if present, is gentle, the plucking of strings on a lyre, the soft hum of a lute, or the rhythmic tapping of a small drum, all integrated into the environment as calming companions to the day's end. Each sound contributes to a cocoon of sensory experience, immersing you in a world where each detail is observed, appreciated, and absorbed without haste or distraction. In rural areas, the approach of night brings careful attention to fire and warmth. Hearths are tended, embers stirred and smoothed to preserve heat, ensuring comfort through the early hours. You notice the faint, soothing smell of smoke and warmed clay, the subtle glow illuminating your immediate surroundings, while the world beyond remains dark and still. Candles or rushlights are trimmed and adjusted, their dim light providing just enough visibility to complete essential tasks or enjoy a final moment of quiet reflection. Food storage is a meticulous practice, extending the lessons learned during preparation into preservation. Roots are placed in cool, dark cellars. Grains are stored in barrels, carefully checked for insects or moisture. Cured meats hang in low, ventilated spaces, their aromas faint but constant reminders of labor and preparation. Each item tells a story of careful tending, patient observation, and the ongoing negotiation between the needs of the body and the uncertainties of the natural world. You glide your hands over containers, feeling the weight and texture of sustenance, each one a quiet reassurance against the unpredictability of tomorrow. Consider also the spiritual dimension that intertwines with sustenance and survival. Prayers, blessings, and rituals accompany meals, not out of superstition alone, but as a reflective moment, a pause to honor both the labor invested and the life sustained. Hands are clasped, voices softened, and a silent acknowledgement of gratitude and humility accompanies every bite. The scent of herbs or incense may drift from a corner of the home, blending seamlessly with the aromas of food, fire, and earth, creating a holistic sensory landscape of comfort, continuity, and quiet contemplation. Throughout these hours, your body adapts to the cyclical nature of work and nourishment. Hunger and satiation are familiar companions, their subtle cues guiding pacing and focus. Energy is measured, conserving strength for long days and preparing for the slow, steady repetition of tomorrow. Sleep is anticipated with appreciation, the mind gradually easing from the consciousness of labor into the gentle rhythm of rest. Each meal, each task, each sensory detail has been part of a carefully orchestrated flow, linking body, mind, and environment in a continuous cycle of life, survival, and quiet observation. Even as you lay down upon the straw mattress, the sounds and smells of the day linger, the faint warmth of the hearth, the residual scent of earth and smoke, the gentle rustle of animals settling in for the night. You feel the comfort of continuity, the soothing reassurance that your efforts, your attentions, and your mindfulness have created a secure, measured world around you. Imagine pulling the coarse blanket over your shoulders, closing your eyes, and letting the gentle cadence of the day carry you towards sleep, each breath syncing with the rhythm of life that has persisted for generations before you. And yet, within this quiet, measured existence, there is constant vigilance. Contamination, spoilage, or misjudgment could turn nourishment into danger. Yet the experience itself, preparation, observation, patience, imbues every action with significance. You learn to savor textures, smells, and subtle flavors, developing an intimate, calm awareness of your environment. In this way, the simple act of eating becomes an ongoing meditation on survival, resilience, and the understated beauty of daily life. The day closes in quiet reflection, offering both the comfort of accomplishment and the gentle anticipation of tomorrow's labor. Every sensory detail, from the warmth of the hearth to the scent of cooked grains, has contributed to a deep, immersive awareness of the rhythms of medieval life. Each breath, each bite, each motion has drawn you slowly into an understanding of existence as both effort and reflection, as labor intertwined with mindfulness, as sustenance and survival coexisting in a harmonious, albeit challenging, balance. Even as sleep begins to pull your awareness toward dreams, The knowledge of what you've done, what you've prepared, and what you've observed lingers softly. The day's labor, the rituals of nourishment, and the gentle attentiveness required to survive are now internalized, offering a sense of calm, continuity, and quiet satisfaction. Imagine drifting in that space, the sounds, smells, and textures of life fading gently, leaving only the soft, persistent memory of a day lived fully, carefully, and in harmonious connection with the world around you. Imagine yourself in a narrow, cobbled street winding through a medieval town. The sun, high in the sky, casts soft, golden light that warms the rough stones beneath your feet. The air carries a blend of scents, faint smoke from hearths, the earthy aroma of animals, and the subtle herbal tang wafting from small shops lining the street. One particular shop draws your attention, its modest wooden sign swinging gently in the breeze. The letters, carefully carved, spell out the trade within: an apothecary, a place where knowledge, observation, and daily survival meet in delicate balance. You step inside, and the atmosphere shifts subtly. The space is compact yet orderly, lined with shelves that reach toward the low ceiling, each shelf brimming with jars, bottles, and bundles of dried herbs. The scents are richer here: lavender, rosemary, sage, chamomile, all mingling in a gentle, calming symphony. Light filters softly through small leaded glass windows, illuminating the tiny particles of dust that drift lazily in the air, giving the room a sense of quiet motion and life. Imagine running your hand along a shelf, feeling the smooth glass of bottles, the roughness of tied herb bundles, and the occasional warmth of clay jars. Your focus turns to the apothecary at the counter, an individual whose life is deeply entwined with both science and superstition. They move with calm precision, hands steady, eyes alert. Each day they mix powders, steep roots, and grind leaves, transforming the raw gifts of the land into remedies that might soothe, strengthen, or occasionally harm. Imagine watching as they carefully measure dried plants, crush them in a mortar, and pour the resulting powder into small, hand-carved containers. Every motion is deliberate, a combination of learned technique and intuitive understanding developed over years. The apothecary's life is a study in contrasts. On one hand, they are respected and sought after, relied upon for their knowledge of plants, minerals, and methods to treat ailments. On the other, they live with the constant awareness that mistakes, misidentification of an herb, an improper mixture, can have serious consequences. Their hands, skilled and precise, must balance both knowledge and caution. Each day is filled with small, exacting rituals, quietly repetitive yet imbued with profound significance. Observe as a villager enters the shop. They carry with them a concern, an ailment that disrupts daily life, whether a persistent cough, digestive discomfort, or the subtle signs of fatigue. The apothecary greets them with calm authority, listening carefully, asking questions in soft tones, their voice steady and even. Each answer and observation guides the careful selection of remedies. Imagine the interplay of curiosity, experience, and subtle observation as the apothecary examines the patient, gestures toward the shelves, and selects a combination of herbs or concoctions designed to bring relief. This careful attention extends to record keeping. The apothecary maintains meticulous notes, not in the hurried, jumbled style one might expect, but in calm, measured script, often on soft parchment sheets. Each entry notes the ingredients, methods, and observed outcomes. Over years, these records accumulate into a quiet archive of understanding, a living testament to the painstaking observation of the natural world and its interaction with the human body. You can almost feel the weight of the parchment under your fingertips, the texture of inked letters, and the deliberate, unhurried strokes used to create them. Yet life is not solely defined by labor and observation. There are moments of quiet wonder. Perhaps a new herb is discovered in the nearby fields, its leaves unfamiliar, its aroma distinct. The apothecary studies it carefully, noting color, texture, scent, and taste, testing small amounts with measured caution. You imagine the curiosity and gentle excitement that accompanies each discovery, a brief, subtle spark within the steady rhythm of routine. Such moments are fleeting yet deeply significant, providing both knowledge and quiet satisfaction. Outside the walls of the apothecary, the town continues its slow rhythm. You hear distant bells marking the passage of hours, the murmur of townsfolk engaged in daily tasks, the soft bleating of sheep or lowing of cattle from nearby yards. Life is steady, predictable in its patterns, yet interwoven with delicate layers of unpredictability. Illness can strike suddenly. Resources may fluctuate, and yet the community moves forward, supported in part by those who dedicate themselves to understanding and preserving both health and life. As you imagine yourself observing this life, consider the challenges that shadow the apothecary's work. Medieval medical knowledge is incomplete. Understanding of disease, infection, and nutrition is limited by the tools and beliefs of the era. Remedies that seem harmless may carry subtle risks. What is intended to soothe may inadvertently cause discomfort. Yet within these constraints, careful observation, experience, and ingenuity allow the apothecary to provide real comfort, guidance, and support. Their work is a delicate balancing act, performed with calm determination, patience, and a respect for the forces beyond their understanding. Evening arrives, and the shop takes on a softer, more introspective ambience. Sunlight fades, replaced by the gentle glow of tallow candles or rushlights, their flickering creating a comforting, rhythmic pattern of light and shadow across walls and shelves. The apothecary moves slowly, tidying, cleaning, and preparing for the following day. Every action is performed with intention. Jars are placed carefully back in their niches. Powders are sealed securely, herbs tied gently to prevent deterioration. There is a sense of closure, a deliberate winding down of a day spent in focused care and quiet service. The apothecary's knowledge is often called upon during the darkest hours of night. Imagine a knock at the door and a villager needing urgent attention. Even as the night deepens, the apothecary rises with measured calm, retrieves the necessary ingredients, and offers guidance or remedies. There is a quiet, understated heroism in these acts, not one of dramatic displays, but of steady, persistent attention to life, health, and survival. Each action is both routine and remarkable, grounded in experience yet always aware of the delicate balance between risk and benefit. Even within the seeming simplicity of daily tasks, a complex interplay of culture, belief, and observation unfolds. Herbs carry meanings beyond their practical use. Lavender may calm both body and spirit. Rosemary preserves memory and focus. Sage cleanses and protects. The apothecary navigates this intricate web of tradition, observation, and science, ensuring that each preparation honors both the known and the unseen. Imagine handling a sprig of sage, feeling its textured leaves, inhaling its calming scent, and understanding the layers of knowledge it embodies, the centuries of use and observation guiding its careful application. As the night progresses, the apothecary prepares their own rest. A simple meal, a moment of reflection, perhaps reading from a scroll or reviewing a small portion of their meticulous notes. The quiet world outside is mirrored in the soft, deliberate movements within, the careful stirring of a small pot, the methodical placing of containers, the rhythmic motion of writing or tying bundles. There is calm, continuity, and a gentle satisfaction in knowing that each day's work, however modest in appearance, contributes to both personal mastery and community well-being. And so, in the soft glow of lamplight, the life of the medieval apothecary unfolds, not in grand battles or royal intrigues, but in the attentive, mindful, and gentle practices that shape survival, understanding, and quiet service. The day closes with a soft exhale, the lingering sense of herbs mingling with the warmth of the fire, as both body and mind prepare to rest. Imagine drifting toward sleep in this space, enveloped by the gentle rhythm of routine, the subtle wonder of observation, and the serene awareness of purpose carried out with patience and care. The night deepens outside the apothecary's shop, and yet the life within continues in quiet, methodical rhythm. Imagine yourself sitting at a corner table, observing as the apothecary reviews a small stack of parchment notes. The faded ink carries the marks of many hands, annotations layered over time, forming a subtle map of experience and experimentation. Each entry tells a story, a new observation about a plant, the unexpected reaction of a patient, the cautious testing of a remedy against minor ailments. You notice how these records embody patience, mindfulness, and continuity, a meditation on both nature and human vulnerability. As the hours pass, the apothecary may consult rare manuscripts or fragments of texts brought from faraway lands. These books are delicate, their pages thin and slightly brittle, filled with illustrations of plants, animals, and rudimentary diagrams of human anatomy. Imagine tracing your fingers over the tiny illustrations, the hand-drawn letters curling across the page, each line a careful articulation of thought and observation. Knowledge flows from one era to another, connecting centuries of careful study and reflection. The apothecary absorbs this wisdom slowly, letting it seep into the practice of daily care, merging tradition with personal experience. Occasionally, a rare challenge interrupts the steady rhythm of the day. An unusual illness, a mysterious symptom, or the subtle onset of a plague-like condition requires careful consideration. Imagine the apothecary pausing, inhaling deeply the familiar scents of dried herbs, scanning shelves for combinations that may offer relief, cross-referencing notes with previous experience. Each decision is measured, deliberate, and calm, a quiet negotiation between uncertainty and the careful application of knowledge. Despite the precision of the work, the apothecary's life is not solitary. Helpers, apprentices, and even neighbors contribute to the slow, deliberate process of care. An apprentice might bring a fresh bundle of herbs, trimmed and cleaned with meticulous attention, while other records observations in neat, careful script. Each participant moves with an unhurried, precise rhythm, the soft shuffle of footsteps and the gentle clink of glass and ceramic forming a background of subtle, soothing sound. Imagine the interplay of these motions, all converging to sustain the slow, careful work of observation, preparation, and reflection. You begin to notice the subtle interplay between the apothecary's work and the natural rhythms of the town. Life continues beyond the shop's walls. Livestock settle into night pens. The wind whispers through narrow alleyways, and the occasional bell tolls, marking both time and ritual. Yet within this small space, the apothecary creates a microcosm of order, stability, and deliberate care. Each herb measured, each powder mixed, each potion prepared is part of a larger cycle, intertwining personal diligence with communal well-being. Even the smallest mistakes are instructive. A slight miscalculation in dosage or a misunderstanding of a patient's symptom may lead to minor discomfort or a failed remedy. Yet these moments are absorbed into the rhythm of practice, recorded with calm reflection, and used to refine the knowledge of future interventions. Imagine the patience required to embrace both success and failure with equal equanimity, the gentle understanding that mastery emerges slowly, over time, with repeated observation and steady application. Consider also the apothecary's interaction with local healers, midwives, and herbalists. There is a quiet exchange of knowledge, a slow transmission of tradition and innovation. The apothecary listens, records, and sometimes tests new ideas, blending what is known with what is discovered. Imagine the soft murmur of conversation, the careful handling of herbs, and the deliberate practice of shared observation, an intimate network of calm diligence and mutual respect. The apothecary's tools are simple yet precise: mortar and pestle, small scales for weighing, and a collection of glass and ceramic containers. Each instrument is treated with care, cleaned and maintained, ready to serve in the quiet precision of daily labor. Imagine the tactile satisfaction of grinding herbs to a fine powder, the subtle change in texture under your fingers, the gentle aroma released as leaves and roots are transformed into usable remedies. Every action becomes meditative, a slow choreography of knowledge, touch, and smell that calms both body and mind. As midnight approaches, a sense of stillness pervades the shop. Even the faintest sounds outside are softened by distance and darkness. The apothecary pauses, taking a moment to reflect on the day's work, the people helped, the remedies prepared, the knowledge recorded for future use. Imagine yourself inhaling deeply, feeling the lingering scents of dried herbs, faint smoke from the hearth, and the warmth of the room surrounding you. There is a profound quietude, an awareness of the harmony between effort, observation, and the gentle passage of time. The apothecary's life is also one of anticipation. They prepare for seasonal changes, understanding that certain herbs must be gathered at precise times, dried and stored with care, to ensure efficacy in the months ahead. You can visualize the careful planning, the rhythm of collection and storage, the patient observation of nature's cycles. Each plant, root, or mineral is more than just a tool. It is a link in a chain of knowledge, connecting practitioner to patient, past to future, and human life, to the quiet, enduring rhythms of the natural world. Even as sleep beckons, preparation continues. A final check of shelves, a brief review of notes, and the gentle extinguishing of candles mark the transition from wakefulness to rest. Imagine the subtle shift in energy as the room cools, shadows lengthen, and the day's meticulous rhythm fades into the calm embrace of night. The apothecary's presence lingers in the stillness, a quiet testament to patience, diligence, and the understated art of care. And so, as you close your eyes, imagine walking slowly through the town streets, the memory of herbs, parchment, and careful hands remaining in your mind. The apothecary's life, measured in small gestures, deliberate acts, and patient observation, leaves a gentle impression, a quiet reflection on human ingenuity, the care we give to one another, and the serene rhythms of life that persist across centuries. It is a life rich in subtle textures, scents, and motions, a life that embodies calm attentiveness, steady purpose, and the slow accumulation of understanding. With the night fully settled, imagine the apothecary finally resting. Their thoughts drift lightly across the day's observations, the soft cadence of breathing marking the rhythm of sleep. The jars, herbs, and parchment await the morning, ready to continue the endless cycle of measured care and subtle discovery. In this quiet, reflective space, the story concludes for now, leaving you with a sense of continuity, stability, and the gentle, enduring presence of knowledge pursued with calm dedication. Imagine yourself in a dimly lit medieval library, the air thick with the scent of aged parchment, beeswax, and a faint trace of herbs. The walls are lined with towering shelves, wooden and time-worn, groaning softly under the weight of countless manuscripts. Each book, scroll, and bundle of notes carries secrets, observations, and fragments of knowledge collected over decades, sometimes centuries. The quiet of the library is almost tangible, broken only by the gentle rustling of pages or the soft creak of floorboards beneath your feet as you walk slowly, deliberately, absorbing the weight of history in every breath. In your hand is a particularly curious manuscript, bound in weathered leather and filled with delicate hand-drawn illustrations. Leaves of sage, sprigs of rosemary, and other herbs are carefully rendered, labeled in neat, precise script. Yet some remain enigmatic, unknown plants, symbols that hint at forgotten methods, and annotations that raise questions rather than offer answers. Imagine running your fingertips along the edges of the parchment, feeling its slight roughness, noticing the subtle texture of ink pressed into the page. Every mark is deliberate, the result of careful observation and perhaps a hint of mystery, a whisper from centuries past. These medieval herbal manuscripts were more than mere catalogues of plants. They were repositories of human curiosity, experimentation, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge under constraints that modern science could scarcely imagine. They record not just the physical characteristics of plants, but their scents, tastes, perceived qualities, and applications. Imagine the apothecaries, monks, and herbalists, who meticulously documented each finding, often guided by intuition, folklore, and careful observation. Each entry embodies a blend of empirical practice and cultural belief, a delicate balance between what is seen and what is imagined. Yet, as fascinating as these manuscripts are, many of the remedies they describe have been lost or obscured. Some plants mentioned no longer grow in the same regions. Others have changed subtly through cultivation, hybridization, or extinction. Imagine standing before a shelf of jars containing dried herbs, some familiar, some unrecognizable, their textures, colors, and aromas hinting at knowledge that is now only partially understood. Each jar is a puzzle, each label a fragment of a larger, intricate story waiting to be pieced together. The mystery deepens when we consider the cryptic annotations often found in these manuscripts. Marginal notes, sometimes written in hurried script, sometimes in careful, almost meditative calligraphy, suggest experiments, successes, failures, and warnings. Some of these notes reference practices that modern scholars struggle to interpret, cryptic symbols, obscure regional names, or shorthand whose meaning is lost to time. Imagine yourself squinting at these annotations, tracing the curves of inked lines, and pondering the intentions and insights of hands long gone. There is a quiet thrill in recognizing that each mark may hold a key to understanding forgotten wisdom, yet also an acknowledgement of the limits imposed by time, loss, and decay. Consider the stories behind these manuscripts. Many were created in monastic scriptoriums, where monks, driven by both curiosity and devotion, dedicated their lives to documenting the natural world. Imagine the soft glow of candlelight illuminating their work, the careful sound of quills moving across parchment, the faint aroma of ink and resin filling the air. These environments fostered a rhythm of observation, reflection, and meticulous recording. Each day was a slow, deliberate immersion in knowledge, punctuated by ritual, prayer, and the subtle sounds of cloistered life. Occasionally, these manuscripts reveal recipes that verge on the fantastical. Some remedies claim to alleviate ailments that are still poorly understood today. Others propose unusual combinations of herbs, minerals, and techniques. Imagine the thought process of the scribe or apothecary experimenting with these recipes, cautious curiosity tempered by respect for potential consequences, the gentle repetition of measurements, the rhythmic grinding and mixing of ingredients. Even as some experiments failed, the record remained, a testament to human ingenuity, patience, and the enduring quest to improve life under uncertain conditions. Modern researchers have often attempted to decode these manuscripts. Some approaches are painstakingly scientific, chemical analysis of surviving residues, controlled experiments with recreated remedies, and botanical studies to identify lost species. Others are more interpretive, relying on historical context, folklore, and careful cross-referencing with other texts. Imagine a quiet laboratory where scholars, working under soft light, measure, crush, and observe, their movements deliberate and methodical, echoing the rhythms of medieval practice. The calm of their work, the gentle hum of observation, mirrors the environment of centuries past, creating a bridge between eras separated by centuries, yet united in curiosity. One of the most captivating aspects of these manuscripts is their subtle encoding of information. Some symbols appear to protect knowledge from misinterpretation or misuse. Certain combinations of letters, drawings, and obscure notations may have been intended to safeguard secrets, ensuring that only those with sufficient training or understanding could apply the remedies safely. Imagine decoding a small illustration of intertwined vines, trying to discern whether it is a simple botanical representation or a layered instruction hidden in plain sight. There is a quiet satisfaction in unraveling these mysteries, a slow, immersive engagement that demands patience, reflection, and a steady gaze. The culture surrounding these manuscripts also speaks to broader societal values. Knowledge was considered sacred, especially when it pertained to life, health, and survival. Apothecaries, herbalists, and monks operated within intricate social frameworks, balancing authority, tradition, and observation. Imagine the slow pace of trust building, apprentices learning by careful observation, townsfolk seeking guidance, and communities relying on accumulated wisdom to navigate the uncertainties of disease, famine, and environmental variation. The manuscripts were not just guides, they were repositories of social memory, cultural practice, and human experience. Occasionally, archaeological discoveries shed new light on these ancient texts. Fragments of manuscripts found in hidden corners of abbeys, caves, or even burial sites offer tantalizing glimpses into lost practices. Imagine uncovering a faded page among centuries-old soil, the scent of earth mingling with the faint aroma of preserved ink. The moment is quiet, contemplative, yet charged with the slow, gentle thrill of discovery. Each fragment connects us to hands, eyes, and minds that existed centuries before, offering both insight and mystery, comfort and challenge. Even the illustrations themselves carry subtle messages. The depiction of plants may convey information about ideal growing conditions, methods of preparation, or combinations with other ingredients. Imagine tracing the lines of delicate leaves, noting the subtle differences in shading, texture, and size. Each line is a communication across time, a gentle whisper of observation and experience, guiding those willing to study, experiment, and reflect. As the hours pass in this imagined library, the quiet rhythm of your presence aligns with the meticulous pace of centuries-old work. You turn the pages slowly, absorbing the interplay of text, image, and meaning. There is no rush, no urgency, only the calm persistence of inquiry. The soft light casts shadows that stretch across shelves and manuscripts, creating an intimate, almost sacred space where the mind can wander gently, tracing paths of knowledge and discovery. The mystery of medieval herbal manuscripts remains partly unresolved. Some remedies are fully understood, others defy modern interpretation. Yet, within this uncertainty lies a sense of continuity, a gentle reminder that human curiosity, patience, and observation transcend time. Imagine closing a manuscript softly, feeling the texture of its binding, inhaling the subtle scent of parchment and ink, and appreciating the care, thought, and dedication embedded in every page. The past speaks quietly, inviting reflection, exploration, and the slow unraveling of mysteries, in harmony with the rhythms of calm observation and gentle contemplation. Continuing our quiet journey through the enigmatic world of medieval herbal manuscripts, let us now turn to the subtle, almost hidden connections these texts have with broader culture, society, and human understanding. Imagine yourself walking through the library's narrow aisles once more, the soft glow of lanterns reflecting gently on leather bindings, parchment edges curling slightly with age. The atmosphere is still, yet charged with the quiet presence of knowledge accumulated over centuries. Beyond the individual manuscripts lies a network of communication that links towns, monasteries, and distant regions. Traders, travelers, and scholars, carried fragments of herbal knowledge across mountains, rivers, and seas. Imagine a slow caravan moving across a misty landscape, carrying carefully wrapped bundles of parchment, some protected in leather cases, others tucked beneath cloaks. The knowledge contained within these manuscripts traveled quietly but persistently, seeding new understanding wherever it went. Each journey was deliberate, slow, and fraught with challenges, yet the dedication of those who transported and preserved knowledge ensured continuity across generations. The manuscripts often reflect a blending of observation and belief. Some remedies were based on careful empirical testing, while others were intertwined with mystical or spiritual ideas. Consider a page depicting an herb accompanied by a small drawing of a celestial symbol or a prayer. Imagine the delicate balance in the apothecary's mind between practical efficacy and cultural tradition, where the rhythm of experimentation coexists with the rhythm of ritual. This blending created remedies that were more than medicine. They were an expression of worldview, a mirror of how medieval people perceived their connection to nature, the divine, and each other. Archaeological discoveries occasionally illuminate these practices. Excavations of medieval towns reveal remnants of apothecary shops, fragments of jars, and sometimes traces of herbal mixtures preserved in clay vessels. Imagine carefully brushing away layers of earth to reveal a small, intact container of dried herbs, its surface etched with faint symbols, the faint aroma still lingering. These artifacts offer tangible links to the texts we have explored, allowing us to reconstruct not just the knowledge of the time, but the daily rhythms of life, how people prepared remedies, stored them, and integrated them into domestic and communal practice. Consider also the cultural significance of certain plants. Lavender, rosemary, and sage, for example, were not merely valued for their medicinal qualities. They were woven into rituals of domestic care, spiritual practice, and social etiquette. Imagine a gentle breeze carrying the scent of drying herbs through a quiet village, the subtle aromas mingling with the earthy smell of soil, the smoke of hearth fires, and the faint scent of baked bread. Each smell, each texture, each subtle sensory detail was part of a living cultural landscape, quietly shaping the rhythm of daily life. One of the more intriguing aspects of these manuscripts is the occasional inclusion of recipes that seem almost whimsical by modern standards. Remedies for dreams, love, or protection against misfortune reflect the hopes, fears, and imaginative reach of those who wrote them. Imagine the soft scratching of quill on parchment as a monk writes instructions for a potion to induce restful sleep, balancing caution with optimism, tradition with personal experience. These instructions, though cryptic at times, reflect an intimate understanding of human desire and vulnerability, an attempt to harmonize life with the unpredictable currents of fortune and health. In some cases, manuscripts include marginalia, small drawings or notes added by readers over time. Imagine the delicate sketches of plants, animals, or symbolic figures peeking out from corners, added perhaps decades after the original text was composed. Each mark is a whisper from a different hand, a subtle dialogue between generations of practitioners, a reminder that knowledge is a living, evolving entity. The pages themselves become palimpsests of experience, where every layer of ink represents observation, interpretation, and reflection. The interplay between mystery and method is particularly evident when we consider lost or unidentified plants. Some herbs described in these manuscripts have vanished from contemporary records, leaving tantalizing gaps in our understanding. Imagine tracing the faint outline of a plant, attempting to reconstruct its appearance, aroma, and use through careful inference and comparison. The effort is slow, meditative, and deeply absorbing, a puzzle that requires patience, observation, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. In this calm pursuit of knowledge, there is a subtle, almost hypnotic rhythm, inviting the mind to wander gently among possibilities, while maintaining focus on delicate details. The manuscripts also reveal the human propensity for experimentation. Some remedies required precise measurements, careful timing, or unique combinations of ingredients. Imagine observing an apothecary carefully weighing dried leaves, grinding roots into a fine powder, and blending components with steady, practiced motions. The act itself becomes a form of meditation, a slow dance of attention, sensory awareness, and subtle calculation. Mistakes were part of the process, recorded quietly for future reflection, serving as gentle reminders that knowledge accrues incrementally through repetition, observation, and patience. Cultural rituals surrounding these herbs often reinforced their value and effectiveness. Certain plants were used in ceremonies marking seasonal change, health, or social events. Imagine a quiet festival in a small medieval village. Bundles of herbs hang from doorways, aromatic smoke rises from hearths, and the subtle fragrance of flowers mingles with the soft murmur of conversation. Each sensory detail, sight, smell, touch, contributes to the integration of knowledge, belief, and practice. The manuscripts, in recording these uses, preserve not only medicinal knowledge, but the rhythm of social and cultural life, the gentle cadence of communal experience. Scholars of today continue to explore these manuscripts, often combining historical research with botanical and chemical analysis. Imagine a modern laboratory, quiet and softly lit, where delicate samples of herbs are examined, weighed, and analyzed. The meticulous movements of researchers echo the rhythms of apothecaries centuries before, creating a calm continuity of observation and reflection. The process is not hurried. Each measurement, each observation is deliberate, fostering a quiet connection across time. And yet, despite centuries of study, many mysteries remain unresolved. Some remedies defy interpretation, some plants remain unidentified, and some instructions seem deliberately enigmatic. Imagine holding a manuscript that contains both clarity and ambiguity, the contrast inviting reflection, curiosity, and a slow, deliberate engagement with history. The unresolved questions are not frustrating. They are invitations to linger, ponder, and explore gently, letting the mind wander through layers of time, thought, and practice. As the night deepens, imagine closing the manuscript and allowing yourself to reflect on the journey. The delicate balance of observation, belief, experimentation, and ritual reveals a world where knowledge was not merely accumulated, but experienced, practiced, and integrated into daily life. Each page, illustration, and annotation is a window into a culture of patience, attentiveness, and quiet curiosity, a culture that invites contemplation, gentle immersion, and slow exploration. You leave the library, the scent of parchment and herbs lingering faintly in your memory. Outside, the world is still, the gentle night air carrying the soft murmur of distant streams, the faint rustle of leaves, and the distant flicker of lanterns in neighboring homes. The manuscripts and the people who created them continue to speak through time, their rhythm of observation, reflection, and patient experimentation offering a gentle, calming echo that soothes both mind and spirit. Imagine yourself approaching a grand medieval manor, the soft light of early morning bathing its stone walls and thatched roofs in a warm, golden hue. The air carries a delicate blend of scents, freshly baked bread wafting from the kitchens, the earthy aroma of gardens carefully tended, and the subtle tang of herbs growing in neat plots nearby. The rhythm of this place is slow, measured, almost melodic, contrasting sharply with the constant toil and struggle of peasant life beyond its walls. Here, life is structured by custom, privilege, and the gentle flow of routines designed to maintain comfort, order, and refinement. You walk along the cobblestone path toward the manor's entrance, where carved wooden doors open into a spacious hall. Sunlight filters through narrow windows, casting elongated, soft beams across tapestries depicting scenes of hunting, courtly life, and distant lands. The walls are adorned with banners and shields, symbols of lineage and heritage, quietly whispering stories of ancestors, conquests, and alliances. Imagine running your hand lightly over the polished wood of a railing or the cool stone of a pillar, feeling the smooth textures that have been maintained over decades, perhaps centuries. Each detail reflects the careful attention of skilled artisans, whose work subtly shapes the environment and the lives of those who inhabit it. Within the manor, life moves to the rhythm of domestic and social routines. Gentle footfalls echo across the floors as servants go about their tasks with quiet diligence. Imagine trays of food being carried into sunlit rooms, the faint clinking of utensils, the soft rustle of silk and velvet as nobles move gracefully from chamber to chamber. Meals are carefully planned and executed, often consisting of multiple courses featuring both local produce and imported delicacies. The preparation itself is a quiet ritual, a slow choreography of cutting, boiling, roasting, and arranging, conducted with a steady hand and mindful attention. The kitchens are a hive of subtle, calm activity. Imagine large hearths where bread rises slowly in warm, dimly lit rooms, the scent of herbs and spices mingling in the air. Pans gently hiss over the flames, and simmering stews emit a comforting aroma that drifts through open doorways. Cooks and kitchen assistants move deliberately, coordinating their actions with care to ensure that every meal meets both practical and aesthetic standards. Even within the bustle, the pace is unhurried, the environment quiet and focused, reflecting a deep ingrained respect for the rhythms of food preparation and domestic maintenance. Dining itself is an exercise in ritual and etiquette. Imagine a long, polished table adorned with polished silverware, simple yet elegant earthenware, and carefully folded napkins. Nobles recline on high-backed chairs, their posture attentive but relaxed, while conversation flows gently, often revolving around local news, estate management, or distant travels. The pace of eating is slow and deliberate, each bite appreciated for its texture, flavor, and origin. Wine may be poured from dark glass bottles, its scent subtly blending with the aroma of roasted meats and fresh bread. Here, the luxury of time itself becomes part of the experience. The deliberate pacing encouraging reflection, conversation, and calm enjoyment. Beyond meals, the daily life of the manor's inhabitants is structured by a combination of leisure, education, and administrative duties. Imagine wandering into a quiet chamber lined with shelves of carefully preserved manuscripts. Nobles, particularly young heirs, spend hours reading, practicing arithmetic, studying philosophy, or mastering the art of rhetoric. Their education is slow, attentive, and guided by tutors who themselves embody the calm, deliberate rhythm of scholarly life. Imagine the soft scratching of quill on parchment, the muted turning of pages, and the gentle cadence of oral lessons that echo faintly through the hallways. Gardens and outdoor spaces offer another dimension of serene activity. Imagine stepping into a manicured garden, the soft rustle of leaves, the gentle hum of bees, and the faint scent of flowering herbs filling the air. Paths are lined with roses, lavender, and rosemary, each plant carefully tended by gardeners who move with quiet precision. The gardens serve multiple purposes: aesthetic pleasure, culinary supply, and medicinal preparation. Imagine a leisurely stroll along these paths, noting the symmetry of planting, the interplay of color and texture, and the calm, almost meditative quality of tending living things. Here, time seems to slow, each moment stretching gently, inviting observation, reflection, and quiet appreciation. Entertainment within the manor is similarly gentle, often combining artistry with reflection. Imagine a small chamber where musicians play lutes, harps, or flutes, their melodies soft, flowing, and harmonious. The notes echo quietly through the hallways, mingling with the faint laughter of listeners or the soft murmur of conversation. Poetry and storytelling are also common pastimes. Imagine bard reciting tales of distant lands, heroic ancestors, or moral lessons, each word measured, each pause deliberate, creating a rhythmic cadence that mirrors the unhurried flow of life itself. Social interactions within the manor are subtle and layered. Nobles exchange greetings, advice, and updates on local affairs with calm precision, carefully observing protocol and hierarchy. Imagine a council meeting held in a sunlit chamber, the participants seated with measured posture, voices low and even, discussing matters of estate management, legal disputes, or agricultural planning. The pace is reflective, the conversation considered, each point weighed and revisited with patience. Even disagreement is conducted in a measured tone, reflecting the intricate social dance of privilege, responsibility, and decorum. Religion and spirituality play a significant role in structuring daily life. Imagine a quiet chapel within the manor, sunlight streaming through stained glass windows, casting muted colors on stone floors and wooden pews. Nobles attend services or private prayers, moving slowly through ritual gestures that have been passed down through generations. The rhythm of bells, chants, and soft hymns guides the day, marking transitions between work, leisure, and reflection. There is a calm continuity here, a connection between past and present, the sacred and the secular, fostering a deep sense of order, comfort, and reflection. The management of the estate itself is a complex, deliberate activity. Imagine an overseer reviewing ledgers, noting the distribution of grain, livestock, and labor, coordinating with tenants and servants with measured precision. The daily oversight of lands, finances, and resources requires attention, patience, and a careful understanding of patterns. Imagine tracing the rows of crops in your mind, noting the rotations, the irrigation channels, the placement of livestock. Each action is part of a subtle orchestration that maintains the stability, productivity, and comfort of the manor. Luxury and refinement permeate the personal spaces of the elite. Chambers are furnished with polished wood, tapestries depicting distant journeys, and textiles soft to the touch. Imagine lying back on a bed draped in layers of wool and linen, the faint scent of lavender sachets lingering in the air. The rhythm of the day is slow and deliberate, waking with sunlight, attending to personal grooming, enjoying leisure activities, and retiring as dusk settles. Each gesture, each moment, contributes to a life structured by comfort, observation, and calm continuity. Even the challenges faced by the elite are gentle in comparison to the peasant experience. Illness, scarcity, or social tension exist, but the means to address them, access to healers, preserved foods, and servants, create a buffer that smooths the harsh edges of life. Imagine consulting a physician trained in herbal remedies, observing the careful preparation of poultices and infusions, noting the rhythm of treatment, rest, and recovery. Each step is measured, deliberate, and infused with a sense of calm expectation, reinforcing the structured pace of elite existence. Leisure pursuits such as hunting or falconry combine physical engagement with quiet observation. Imagine a calm morning ride through dew-kissed fields, the soft sound of hooves on grass, the gentle flutter of birds, and the measured commands of a falconer. Each movement is precise, deliberate, and intertwined with observation, patience, and subtle skill. The activity engages the senses without urgency, blending motion, reflection, and a gentle attunement to the natural environment. Education and mentorship remain central to elite culture. Tutors guide heirs in mathematics, law, philosophy, and strategy, using measured instruction to cultivate thoughtful, deliberate minds. Imagine a young noble tracing letters with a quill, receiving gentle corrections, and listening carefully to measured explanations. The rhythm of teaching mirrors the rhythm of life, slow, deliberate, and designed to instill both knowledge and calm attentiveness. Even the transition from day to night follows a deliberate cadence. Torches and lanterns are lit, casting a warm, flickering glow across halls and chambers. Meals are concluded, rooms are prepared for rest, and the manor gradually sinks into quiet reflection. Imagine walking through dimly lit corridors, the soft clinking of a distant tray, the muted murmur of conversation fading into silence. The pace slows naturally, inviting rest, reflection, and the gentle unwinding of both body and mind. As you reflect on life within the manor, it is clear that the privilege and comfort of the elite are accompanied by subtle, immersive rhythms. Every aspect of daily life, from meals to education, leisure to administration, is structured with care, attention, and a deliberate pacing that fosters calm, order, and reflection. Compared to the unpredictable toil of peasant life, the manor offers a gentle, measured immersion in culture, routine, and refinement. Imagine, finally, leaving the manor grounds at dusk, the sky painted in muted shades of amber and violet. The gentle sounds of nature, a distant stream, rustling leaves, and the faint call of night birds merge with the faint echoes of human activity. The experience of observing this world, so carefully structured and quietly sustained, leaves a sense of calm, continuity, and gentle reflection, guiding the mind toward rest and serenity. As our journey through the subtle, intricate layers of medieval life draws to a close, allow yourself to breathe slowly and sink gently into the quiet rhythm of reflection. Imagine, for a moment, the world we have wandered through over the past hours, not as a single narrative, but as a collection of lives, choices, and experiences, each unique yet intertwined with the slow passage of time. You have walked the narrow streets of medieval villages, where daily life was a constant negotiation with the elements, the land, and the rhythms of work. You have imagined the toil of peasants whose days were long, repetitive, and punctuated by moments of quiet respite, small pleasures, and fleeting laughter. You have felt the texture of coarse fabrics, the aroma of bread baking slowly over a low fire, the gentle warmth of sunlight on stone walls, and the faint, persistent hum of life moving steadily forward. These were lives shaped by necessity, by the imperatives of survival, and yet even within these constraints, there was resilience, care, and subtle beauty. From there, you journeyed into the personal struggles and ambitions of historical figures, men and women whose choices rippled outward, altering communities, kingdoms, and sometimes the course of history itself. You have observed the quiet courage of those navigating political intrigue, the patience required to build alliances, and the reflective, sometimes lonely moments behind decisions that would later be recorded in chronicles and manuscripts. Imagine sitting quietly beside them, hearing the soft rustle of parchment or the distant footsteps in a hall, contemplating the weight of responsibility, and recognizing the same human curiosity, ambition, and vulnerability that persists across time. Then, you explored the world of mystery, archaeology, and culture, where knowledge and practice blended in ways both practical and symbolic. You have wandered among manuscripts filled with medicinal herbs, marginalia, and cryptic instructions, witnessing the delicate interplay between observation, ritual, and imagination. Picture the faint glow of lanterns illuminating intricate illustrations, the subtle aroma of dried herbs lingering in a quiet chamber, and the centuries of hands that have touched these pages, leaving traces of thought, reflection, and gentle experimentation. In these quiet details, you have glimpsed a culture devoted to understanding, to blending the tangible and the spiritual, the measured and the mysterious, creating a world that invites curiosity without urgency, reflection without stress. Finally, You entered the calm, measured life of the elite within the manor, where comfort, ritual, and privilege shaped a world of deliberate pace. You observed the polished floors, sunlit gardens, soft melodies from instruments, and the gentle flow of domestic routines. You imagined the careful instruction of young nobles, the quiet diligence of servants, and the intricate choreography of meals, leisure, and administration. Even within the luxuries and advantages, life was structured by thoughtful attention, patience, and continuity. In contrast to the hardships faced by others, this life offered a form of gentle immersion, a slow unfolding of daily rhythm, and a deliberate engagement with culture, learning, and aesthetics. As you reflect on these four facets of medieval life, commoners, historical figures, cultural mysteries, and the elite, notice how each layer contributes to a broader understanding of human existence. Life, in its many forms, is a tapestry of rhythm, routine, struggle, reflection, and care. The contrast between hardship and privilege, observation and action, mystery and routine, reminds us that every era, every society, and every individual moves to its own subtle cadence, shaped by circumstance, necessity, and imagination. Now, let your thoughts drift to the sensory impressions we have explored together. Imagine once again the gentle warmth of a hearth, the muted golden light of dawn on stone walls, the rustle of leaves in a quiet garden, the faint aroma of herbs and bread mingling in a soft breeze. Each image, each sound, each subtle texture can now serve as a gentle anchor for your mind, drawing you deeper into calm, steady relaxation. Allow the rhythm of these details, the slow unfolding of days, the attentive observation of tasks, the quiet joy of small pleasures, to synchronize with your own breathing, your own heartbeat, and the gentle flow of consciousness. Consider the endurance and adaptability of those who lived long ago. Imagine a peasant carefully tending a field, mindful of each seed and soil patch, a scholar or monk tracing lines of knowledge across delicate parchment, a healer blending herbs with both care and hope, a noble orchestrating the rhythms of comfort, education, and ritual within the manor walls. In each, there is a quiet resilience, a deliberate patience, and a gentle awareness of the world, waiting for the listener to absorb and reflect, slowly and without haste. Let your mind wander among the lessons we have encountered. The medieval world teaches us patience, attentiveness, and the quiet joy of small, deliberate actions. It reminds us of the delicate balance between effort and reward, ritual and spontaneity, observation and reflection. Imagine these qualities as soft currents flowing through your consciousness, easing tension, releasing the busyness of modern life, and inviting you to simply exist in the present moment. You might visualize the scenes fading gently, one by one. The village streets grow quieter as twilight settles, lanterns glowing softly in windows. The grand manor stands serene as dusk deepens, the music of strings and wind instruments lingering faintly, dissolving into silence. The manuscripts rest in quiet libraries, their wisdom preserved and ready for the next calm visitor to explore. The figures we have met throughout this journey, peasant, noble, scholar, healer, and observer, settle into the slow rhythm of their own world, leaving you with a sense of completion, perspective, and gentle continuity. Now, bring your attention inward. Feel the softness of your surroundings, the weight of your body supported, the slow, even rhythm of your breath. Let the calm of the medieval world, its patterns of routine, reflection, and quiet engagement, merge with the comfort of your own space. Each breath becomes a gentle echo of the rhythms we have witnessed, the unhurried flow of days, the deliberate steps of care, the subtle attention to detail. Allow these rhythms to guide you, carrying your mind steadily toward rest. Imagine the last traces of the day dissolving, the soft night air around you filled with the gentle whisper of leaves, distant streams, and the faint hum of life moving on quietly. There is no urgency, no demand for attention, only the calm, steady presence of time, experience, and reflection. The past and present blend seamlessly, inviting your mind to drift, to wander, and finally, to rest. As you settle deeper, consider the enduring lessons of patience, observation, and subtle engagement. History, in its quiet unfolding, offers more than stories. It offers a meditation, a gentle reflection on human life in all its forms. Let your thoughts float gently over the tapestry we have explored, noticing the textures, scents, and rhythms of a world that is distant yet intimately familiar. Each scene, each detail, each subtle observation has contributed to a serene mental landscape, perfectly suited for rest and reflection. Finally, allow yourself to release any lingering tension, to let go of the day's demands, and to settle fully into comfort. Let your mind linger briefly on a final image: the golden glow of morning light on stone walls, the muted fragrance of a garden in bloom, the soft rustle of parchment in a quiet library. Let this image, and the calm reflections it evokes, carry you gently towards sleep. The medieval world in all its contrasts and rhythms now rests alongside you. Life's intricate patterns, from toil to leisure, from observation to ritual, offer a comforting cadence. Allow yourself to drift with this cadence, letting the gentle unfolding of time guide you into a deep, restorative sleep. Imagine the soft murmur of distant voices fading into silence, the warmth of hearths dissolving into shadows, and the quiet presence of centuries past surrounding you in calm serenity. As your breathing slows, your muscles relax, and your thoughts grow quieter, know that the journey we shared, the village, the manor, the manuscripts, the figures, and the rituals, remains within you as a gentle, peaceful echo. Let this echo carry you through the night, a quiet companion, a soft reminder of history's rhythm, and the subtle, enduring beauty of human life. Good night.